The race for the White House has, in many respects, sucked all the air out of the political room. But across the nation, there are other votes, of course, to be cast this November. Votes for governors and senators, representatives. Even further down the ballot, states and local communities are considering measures that could dramatically change the laws in their neck of the woods. Correspondent Douglas Kennedy went to Oklahoma to consider one ballot measure at the heart of an American tradition, the cowboy.
I was raised in the cattle business from when I was born. I love cattle.
Michael Kelsey runs Oklahoma's Cattlemen's Association and generally spends his life around cows. It's a purely American tradition he says most Americans have lost touch with. What happened to the American cowboy?
It's just getting more and more difficult to stay in the business with all the intense amount of government regulation that's adding up.
And with the loss of the cowboy, he says Americans have also lost touch with cattle, American farm animals in general, and most importantly, how our meals get made.
There's a disconnect between consumers and how food is raised.
For instance, he says most of us choose not to think about what went into making those 2 all-beef patties on a McDonald's Big Mac. It's a complete separation from our food he says some are now exploiting, threatening the existence of the American farmer. Since 1990, animal rights groups have been successful in 34 ballot measure campaigns. They have a success rate of nearly 70%, which is exactly why this year Kelsey's supporting a ballot measure of his own that would forever enshrine farming in Oklahoma's state constitution. It's called the Right to Farm Amendment, and it's being welcomed like a lost steer from many of Oklahoma's cattlemen.
Now radicals and politicians in Hollywood and Washington, D.C. want to tell us how to farm.
We're getting a lot of outside groups that aren't involved in agriculture that have an agenda.
David Gherkin's family has been raising cattle in Oklahoma since the mid-19th century. And next year, he's sending his oldest daughter to school to learn the science of farming. But he fears the future of farming may not involve science at all. So the animal rights groups have been very successful in making farming an emotional issue.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't take very many people to express their own opinion, without any basis or science behind it.
The interest of all of Oklahomans.
Kelsey's ballot measure is similar to measures in 18 other states that have made hunting and fishing a constitutional right. But Oklahoma's State Question 777 goes further, adding language that would prevent changes to farming without proving, quote, a compelling state interest, unquote. In effect, making it nearly impossible to put any restrictions on traditional practices. It's a legal provision usually reserved for civil rights, and it's making animal rights groups have a cow.
This amendment is a gross overreach.
Paul Shapiro is Vice President for Farm Animal Protection at the Humane Society of the United States. Hands down, the most politically successful animal rights group in the world. And he says they're not about to sit on the sidelines for this fight.
Certainly we'll be running advertising campaigns notifying our own members in Oklahoma. This amendment could enshrine animal cruelty and environmental devastation for decades because it would prevent local or state governments from creating rules to prevent it.
So the Humane Society says you are going to tie the hands of local governments to prevent animal cruelty, possibly for generations to come. What do you say?
I think what I say to that is we're actually trying to tie the hands of the special interest groups from influencing government based on emotion rather than science.
Protecting, he says, the future of cattle and cattlemen in Oklahoma from what he calls the Humane Society's hidden agenda. In Oklahoma City, Douglas Kennedy, Fox News.